Welcome to Truth, Money, and Freedom. Today is Friday, May 10th, 2019. And today with me I have American Man, and we're going to go ahead and discuss something that American Man just found, which is another bill in Congress, and it's a Valentine's Day gift because apparently it was submitted to Congress on February 14th of 2019. And the purpose of the bill is to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to subject to the requirements of the National Firearms Act any semi-automatic rifle that has a capacity to accept detachable magazine. Well, that's most semi-automatic rifles out there. So it looks like they want to get rid of, anything that's an AR-14, anything that's an AR-15. But holy crap! I mean, I've got 22 rifles that are not ARs that are 22s, 22 caliber that have detachable magazines. So, and it is a semi-auto. So, American Man, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Let's chat about this bill a little bit.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that, TC. I find this bill very interesting.
Yeah, it's pre the recent Colorado shootings, and they're always trying to get rid of ARs. That seems to be the order of the day in Congress. It's all about taking away firearms. I mean, that's what they're all about. The fact that these school shootings have become more and more prevalent. I just recently did a video on that, as you're aware, and I'll even link it down below in the description of this video. But basically, it's just another gun grab act. I mean, there's nothing very special about it. It's just another gun grab, and they're saying, no, 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 it's not a gun grab. We just need to take away, the detachable magazines, the 30-round ammunition magazines, because that's, the reason they're able to do these mass killings and kill so many people at once, is because of that. But, I beg to differ. Most mass shootings are usually done with handguns. And those magazines can handle 15, sometimes 17 rounds in a magazine. And I can switch out a magazine very quickly, in a handgun. But let's actually go a little more basic than this. Let's go to the purpose of the Second Amendment again. The purpose of the Second Amendment is basically for us to have the right to bear firearms which shall not be infringed. Correct?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Go
And
ahead.
so in Congress today, especially in California, where the Socialist Democrat Party rules the day, they declare that the Second Amendment was strictly for hunting rights. I
Well,
want to point.
yeah, that was Janet Reno under Bill Clinton. That's what she said. That was her interpretation of the Second Amendment. Actually, during the Clinton administration, I remember her saying that the purpose of the Second Amendment was for hunters to be able to hunt.
Right, but I've also heard Dianne Feinstein and Pelosi both make that exact same statement recently, both in 2018 and 2019. I have here on Google, if you would please humor me, TC. What is the meaning of a gun? A gun is a weapon incorporating a metal tube from which bullets, shells, or other missiles or projectiles are propelled from an explosive force, typically making a characteristic loud, sharp noise, and fire will shoot from the end of the barrel. This does not specify long rifle or handgun. So when they make the claim, bills like this bill that we're talking about right now, HR 1263, is not a gun grabbing bill. It is deceptive and they're lying to the public. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so what we're talking about then is incrementalism. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So they're trying to nibble away at the capacity of the magazines, or actually having magazines at all. And of course, later they'll just come back and get the guns.
Right.
Yeah, I understand, and that's what I believe is happening here as well.
Exactly. Not only that, and they're very methodical about what they're doing. And I want to point something out here, and I hope that you're okay with this because I've lost possession of the link to the article that I had in one of my previous videos, and I do apologize to the listener. But I had found an article a couple of weeks ago explaining in several PDFs how the United Nations is behind most of the gun grabbing laws, not only in the United States, but around in the EU and Australia. Most of the governments of these countries have signed a pact or treaty with the United Nations to disarm their countries.
Hmm. Well, yeah, I'm looking here at the applicability, and they're talking about mandatory registration of the firearms.
Right.
Any semi-automatic rifle or shotgun in accordance with the section 5841 of such code. Such
Right.
registration shall become part of the National Firearms Registration and Transfer Record required to be
Right.
maintained by such the section. Well, that's what I want to bring up here because a part of this is snuck into the bill, which is national registration. That's what Hitler did. That's what Stalin did too. Registration of firearms. That's how they knew where to go get the guns. You know, when they actually did confiscation. You know,
Right.
search and seizure, confiscation. So basically, as I read this bill here, I'm thinking the registration part, which is in small print and is not at the top and is not listed as a main purpose of the bill, is probably the really what they're trying to do with this bill. So
Right.
basically, if you
It's
get
the
people,
weapon.
I'm sorry, go ahead, American man.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you and be rude. I apologize. I was going to declare to the listener this is the actual weapon of this whole thing.
Yep, I think so too. Because you got to read the entire bill, and of course, most people don't do that.
No,
But
they don't.
registration is literally the enemy of, you know, basically of the people who believe in owning firearms. It is the weapon because the government does not need to know who owns firearms when everyone has a God-given right to own firearms. You know,
Right.
it's that simple.
Mhm.
They want to know who owns the firearms so they know which houses to go and take your firearms when the time comes, because they do probably have a plan in the future. There's no other reason to do gun registrations. You know, they'll say, well, there's
Right.
tons of great reasons for registration. When a gun gets stolen and it gets, and we find it again, it's registered, we can get it right, right back to its proper owner. Well,
Right.
no, that's not the reason for registration. The reason for registration is confiscation, is my opinion. They're doing too many anti gun measures in Congress for anyone to see registration as anything but a tool that leads to confiscation. Your thoughts, American man?
Yeah, I'm glad that you pointed that out and brought that up. I have 2 points to this whole thing, and that is this registration. I encourage my viewers and my listeners and subscribers to my channel, and I hope that you don't take offense to this, to not register their weapon. Um, this is a key for them to come back, like you said, and take their rifles. They know who has what weapon, what homes to go to. My main and most important point here, if we use Australia as an example of this, okay, because this has already taken place in Australia, the Australian government came and confiscated people's weapons. There are hordes of mass immigrants that are now in Australia, okay, and they're from Africa. And I'm not trying to get off topic here. Now that the population of Australia doesn't have weapons to defend themselves, they're now falling victims to these gangs and these caliphates that are doing home invasions, carjackings, kidnappings, rapes, and murders, and taking people and putting them on the market for sex trafficking. I believe this is the plan of the United Nations to do the same thing here in the United States. Crimes and criminals do not register their guns, and they do not follow the gun confiscation or gun control bills of the United States of America. So your local gang will not be going to the government and saying, Mr. Government, I have a gun. So, don't come and take my gun. These lawmakers and the government have no plans of going into the worst neighborhoods in the United States and trying to confiscate these gangs guns. They're not going to do it, but they'll come and take yours because you're a law-abiding citizen and they know that you have a gun because you registered.
Yep, that's the way I see it too. Same thing. So, they sneak these into the bills. So, I mean, by the way, I know plenty of people that really think that the capacity of the magazines need to be reduced. I personally, and by the way, I'm going to give my personal opinion now at this point. This is Timmy Chonga's opinion and no one else's. But I believe that we should have the same types of firearms that our military has. Now, I understand there's an argument here saying, well, that's what the National Guard is for. The National Guard can defend us from the American military should a very, very unfortunate situation like that exist. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to trust the National Guard to come and save me and my family and my house. I don't have that level of trust in them. So I would like the ability to be able to defend myself, and they're diminishing my ability when they try to take away magazine capacities, when they actually try to eliminate certain types of guns. And by the way, it doesn't have to be an AR-14 or an AR-15 because they make guns that are not in that style that have the same exact capacities, and but they look different. They're still semi-auto.
Right.
I mean, this is literally just going after um, the most popular weapons used, basically for self-defense. That's what they're going
Right.
after. Now, handguns fall into that category too, and for a long time we had huge restrictions on handguns. And the NRA, despite I know there's a lot of controversy about the NRA, especially right now. There's a lot of controversy that the NRA may not even be there a year from now. They're in a lot of financial trouble. But I will give credit where credit is due. The NRA under Charlton Heston got rid of the Brady Act. Basically,
Right.
which is when you went to go buy a handgun, you had to wait 3 days. And that's gone now. You don't have to wait 3 days when you buy a handgun. I think that was, they said it was a cooling off period. So basically, if you were losing your head, you got angry at somebody, you rush to the gun store, go get your guns, go get your bullets, and then go kill somebody. That's what that was
Right.
supposed to prevent. But these situations are extremely rare. But I once again I digress. I didn't mean to travel down that road, but I've got to give the NRA a little bit of credit for actually helping get rid of that. It wasn't renewed.
Right.
It was a law for like 10 or 15 years or something, and it wasn't renewed because of pressure from the NRA. So I think it's important that when these bills come up, that we bring it to people's attention, American man. People can actually, now, not that it really matters, but they can call their representatives and say, hey, I don't approve of this bill whatsoever. But your representative doesn't care what you think. I mean, if anyone, by the way, I'm making this video with American Man today, and this will be on his channel as well as on my channel. But if anyone's not familiar with Truth, Money, and Freedom, basically I'm pretty down on the politicians. I don't like either of them, the Republicans or the Democrats, for a variety of reasons. But these gun grab bills are generally split 50-50 down, basically party lines. They almost always
Right.
are split. Republicans say no, Democrats say yes to gun grabs. But I
Right.
guarantee you, if these school shootings keep happening, Republicans will start siding. Some of the Republicans will shift, to the other side of the aisle and vote with the Democrats to start gun grabbing. So,
They already are.
yep, they already are. So, basically, guys, you have to pay attention. This is something you need to watch, pay attention to, and of course, make sure that your voice is heard somehow. The NRA is falling apart as we speak, and that was internal problems. That wasn't because it was a bad organization. And we'll make another video on that sometime real soon. But American
Right.
Man, that's pretty much all I have to say about this bill, unless you have something else you'd like to add.
Yeah, I think I had one other thing that I really wanted to add into the people, and that is, listen, even though most politicians in our country in this day and age are corrupt, they're bought and paid for, and they don't really care about you or any of your civil rights. I don't want to discourage you from trying to fight back and push back. You should, but it starts at your local level in your local community, and you have the power of voting. Use it to your best ability, number one. And number two, my other point would be the Second Amendment didn't have an ATF in it. We didn't have all these different branches of government who are trying to parent us, the American citizen. And according to the law of the Constitution of the United States, we don't have to follow any of these laws. The rule of the day is, and the supreme law is the Constitution. If you don't know it, educate yourself with it and educate your children with it as well. And that's all I have to add to it, along with the fact that I am too also a libertarian. My channel is also a libertarian channel.
Understood, American man. Okay, thank you very much for taking a few minutes out to listen to Truth, Money, and Freedom and American Man, 1967. We thank you very much for spending a few minutes with us to try and educate yourself on the current laws that are trying to be passed, the bills that are trying to be passed into laws in Congress. You guys have a wonderful day, and God bless you all.